All of us at Geringhoff would like to thank you for taking the time to view this video. You will find the information presented here to be informative and helpful in performing service to Geringhoff harvesting machines. Whenever servicing a Geringhoff product, please observe all safety decals and warnings. Use factory-supplied safety supports on the combine and the Geringhoff head. Use the proper safety equipment required for the task. This may include, but is not limited to, eye protection, foot protection, hearing protection, proper clothing, hand protection, proper tools, and other equipment and supplies as required for the service to be performed. Hi, this is Geringhoff Product Support. Today we're going to walk around a TrueFlex razor. Start by some of the basic features on here. We've got a flexible cutter bar, flexible back frame, center drive gearbox, which is hydraulic, keeps the side panels nice and skinny. We've also got an offset reel drive on here. Moving over to the left side of the head, we have a self-contained hydraulic system which runs everything on the head except for the reel. So we have got our reservoir, which uses the frame. We've got a sight glass up in here and a fill plug. We've got our single point here, which runs the reel. We've got our Geringhoff plug, and depending on the combine model, you might have another electrical plug. Moving in to the inside, deep in here is our main valve body where we adjust the working pressures for the head. Moving on to the drive, we've got a drive between our main gearbox here and our auger. Attached to the main gearbox is a triple pump. We've got the first pump that runs the sickle drive, second pump runs the belts, and the third pump runs the working hydraulics, which would be the gauge wheels and the wing cylinders. Moving off of the main gearbox, we've got a drive line between there and our satellite gearbox, which is geared combine specific. Off of that, we've got our PTO running to our combine. Also over here on the left side of the head, we have the serial number tag. So give you the serial number of the head, the year it was built, and the weight of it. We've got a speed adjustment knob for the center belt. It's a standard reducer valve. And underneath there, we have a DR port for testing the hydraulic pressures. Coming out here, we've got a reel lock, which will determine the position of your reel. We have 3 different positions. We've got a fixed mode, we've got a flex mode, and a locking position when the reel's up in the air, as well as a lock on the outer cylinder. On the spring tube, we have an indicator that will give you some idea of where your weight setting is, your weight being what's going to be on the wing and on the wheel. Also on the spring tube, we have a mechanical lock and adjustment. We run it in the center position most of the time, but there might be some field conditions where you might want to run it in the top or bottom position. We've got our gauge wheel, which is ran by the sensors on our head. We've got our LED lights, one facing the gauge wheel, one facing out towards the side panel. We've also got our multi-tool here, which is used for adjusting the reel tine angle and turning over the center drive gearbox. And out here, as I mentioned before, we have our outer cylinder stop. Moving out to the outside of the head, we have a reel lock on the outer cylinder. So when you've got the reel up in the air, you've got a center reel lock and an outer reel lock on both sides. We also have a reel tine adjustment where we'll use our multi-tool. So what we'll do here is we'll take this, we'll stick it into the adjustment lever. We'll want to pull the knob, and we can adjust the reel tine pitch. Set it where you want it, set it back in with the knob. Now keep in mind you'll have to do this for each reel section going down the head, so there are 3 different adjustments here. Going back to the center of the head on the left-hand side, we'll talk about the 4 swing arms. In the center, working out, we've got L1, L2, L3, and L4. L2, L3, and L4 are all weight adjusted via a linkage and 1 bolt and nut. L1 is independently weight adjusted. The right side is a mirror image of the left side. There's also a sensor on each one of these swing arms that helps control the flex of the head. Moving to the outside of the head, we've got our side belt tension. It's 2 different bolts on a spring tension system. We've got one right here, one down by the front skid. We've also got our crop divider. We have our most common crop divider on here. We do offer a couple different styles of crop dividers that are used for different crops or conditions. Moving out to the front of the head, we've got our offset reel drive gearbox. Next to that, you'll see a boot. There's a U-joint underneath that boot and a U-joint in between the other 2 reel sections. This helps the head to flex. Moving to the center, we've got our hydraulic center drive gearbox, a knife head connection for each side of the sickle. We also have a daily grease zerk on the gearbox there. And if you look on top of the gearbox, there's a nut where we can actually physically turn over the sickle itself. Moving over to the right-hand side of the head, we've got another oil fill plug as the reservoir extends to this side. Deep in here, we have our auger finger timing adjustment. We've got our fixed flex for R1 here. There's another handle for L1 on the other side. We've got our oil filter. We have our reel adjustment handle, the same that's on the left-hand side. Moving in here, inside of this black box, is our computer. So how our computer works is our sensors work in pairs. R1, R2, L1, L2 help control the feeder house of the combine and the positioning of it. R3, R4, L3, and L4 work in conjunction to run the position of the gauge wheels in the automatic function. Moving next to the computer, we have our sensor plug. Right now we're in flex mode, so we have it plugged into the flex wiring harness. If you were equipped with wheat sensors or a high stubble kit and you wanted to run in fixed mode, running high stubble, you plug it into the other plug and put the cover back over onto the soybean plug. Moving out, we've got our weight indicator on the spring tube, another gauge wheel, the lights, same as on the left-hand side. You'll notice right here that this head is equipped with an air system. We've got our blower mounted right here. So off of the blower, we've got a hose running into basically a big air duct on the back frame of the head here on the top. We've got this tube running across to run the left-hand side, same as the right. So off of that big air duct, we've got small tubes running down. They connect to another tube going between the belts via a soft hose. That other tube running through the belts connects to the cutter bar where the air comes out right behind the rock dam. Moving further out on the head here, you'll notice on top of the spring tube here, we've got a hydraulic cylinder, mirrored image on the left side also. So what this does is when you get to the headlands, it'll actually extend the cylinder and hydraulically lock the wing so they're not bobbing up and down going down the field. There's also a park function, if you're going to put it on a trailer, where it will lock that cylinder and raise the gauge wheels up so it's easier to put onto a trailer. Moving out, we've got the same lights that we have on the left-hand side. You'll notice that we have a fan and an oil cooler over here. That fan cycles the oil and keeps it at a nice operating temperature. So when you're running down the field, this fan will either reverse itself every 6 minutes for 10 seconds as a cleaning cycle, or when you go into headland mode, when you lift the head up, it'll automatically go through the same 10-second cleaning cycle. Now we're going to move underneath the head. Before we move underneath the head, you're always going to want to put your feeder house safety locks in place. Underneath the head, we've got 4 adjustable skids on each side of the head. The left side is a mirror image of the right side. We've also got our dump pan, our drain plug for the oil reservoir, our linkage adjustment for the cutter bar except for R1 and L1. Also, while you're underneath the head, if your head is equipped with a high stubble kit, you'll have a sensor that looks like this mounted to the underside of the head. There'll be 4 of these running across each side also. On behalf of Geringhoff Product Support, thanks for watching. And as always, if you have any questions about the video you just watched, you can contact us on our service hotline.